Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ABC Club. My name's Anna, and I hope you're doing well. Today, we are going to be finding ourselves in outer space. Right behind me, you see we have our planet Earth, and we are going to be studying all things space today. We also will be learning about a very, very special female astronaut called Sally K. Ride. Has anyone ever heard of Sally Ride? All right, that's okay if you haven't, but I want to preface the class by saying she was a very special astronaut. She did so much in space. In fact, she was the first female to ever go into space. And she is well known for her work with the robotic arm. So today we are going to learn all about space, what it's like to live in space, to study astrophysics, and also how to make a robotic arm. So let's all get together and look at our PDF today, which is one of our very own books here from ABC Club. It's all about Sally Ride's life and all of her achievements. Now, before we begin our story, I'd like to ask you out there, if you were given the chance, would you go to space? All right, it sounds like most of you would go to space. I think I would too. However, there are going to be a lot of differences. What we can eat, what we can drink, how we can wash our hair, things like that. But it would be super awesome to wake up every day, look out the window, be like, I'm in a spaceship, and see planet Earth down below. Now, that would certainly be fascinating. However, it might be really scary. Taking off in the rocket and going up would definitely be scary. What about you? What do you think? Yeah, it's a little scary. However, there are so many brave astronauts up there right now helping us learn more about what's in outer space. And they are also setting up things called satellites that are helping us control the weather and get different electricity and energies and learn more about what's out there. So without further ado, let's begin our book on Sally K. Ride. Okay. Oops, let's start at the top. All right. Sally K. Ride, an astronaut. So this is Sally K. Ride, and she is also here, and this is her in her NASA uniform. Okay. Sally Ride was the first American woman to go to space. Her story teaches us that there are no limits to what we can do. Let's talk about her childhood when she was younger. So this is her when she was younger. Let me get out my pointer here. Sally was born on the 26th of May, 1951. She was good at mathematics and science in school. How many of you out there are good at math and science? Great. Do you enjoy math and science? Perhaps one day you can be an astronaut like Sally Ride as well. She was a good athlete too. She was very good at tennis. She wanted to play it for a living when she grew up. How many of you play tennis out there? Yeah, tennis is a hard sport, but once you get it down, it's really fun. So it seems like Sally Ride really loved to play tennis, and she wanted to become a pro tennis player. So this is her when she was younger, so cute. And this is her when she was at tennis practice. All right, let's talk about Sally Ride as an astronaut. Sally went to high school and college. She still loved tennis, but she no longer wanted to play it for a living. So it seems like she had a change of mind. She wanted to maybe not play tennis anymore, but do something else. She did very well in physics and English. All right, so physics, we're going to talk about astrophysics. She got a PhD in astrophysics. So a PhD is, of course, it is a very high level degree. PhD, the highest that you can go, and you need to study for a very long time so she can become a doctor. All right, astrophysics. What is astrophysics? Well, if we look at the beginning of the word, this is the root of the word astro, right? Astro means anything in space. So we have astrology, astronauts, astronomics. Those are all pertaining to in space. And physics is a science. It's to balance out things and the math and science between all of the ratios of air and gas and height and weight and things like this. And that is something you will learn in a few years. Astrophysics. This has to do with the science of how the things in space work. After her PhD, she was now Dr. Sally Ride. And here's her at her graduation. Okay. There she is. America had no female astronauts at that time. NASA wanted to train women to be astronauts. So NASA is the space company that will employ astronauts and the study of everything in space. And they were looking for women to train to be astronauts at the time. Sally was in the first class of women to be trained by NASA. There were 6 women in the class. Sally did very well. She was picked to go on a space mission. Wow, amazing. There she is with all of her male classmates. And this was in 1978. There she is. This was in 2012. Going to space. Sally became the first American woman in space on June 18th, 1983. She was a part of the crew on the Space Shuttle Challenger. The Space Shuttle Challenger is the name of the space shuttle or the rocket ship that went to space. They were in space for 6 days. They made 97 orbits of the Earth. So an orbit is one time around. So let's say I'm the Earth and here's the spaceship. One orbit is all going all the way around. Oh no, looks like my desk is falling down here. Okay. All right, so one orbit is all the way around the Earth. So they made 97 orbits around the Earth. That's 97 times around the Earth. You can be like, hello, 97 times. This means they went around it 97 times, and they put satellites in orbit too. And what that means when satellites are in orbit, satellites are little things. Actually, this is a satellite right here, if you can see in the photo. And satellites are basically things that we put there so they can help us look at the weather patterns, just to measure earthquakes, to measure different frequencies. So they actually help us, and they teach us a lot about outer space, and they help us do research. There she is. There's Sally Ride. Okay. Sally went to space again. This was on October 5th, 1984. Wow, so she went back to space again. And this time, the crew was in space for 8 days. Wow. Catherine Sullivan was on the crew too. It was the first time America put 2 women in space at the same time. Catherine got to go for a walk in space. We call this a spacewalk. All right, so if you've ever seen any movies with astronauts and you see them go out of the space shuttle to do a spacewalk, maybe they need to uh, change some things on the spaceship or do some maintenance on the space shuttle. They need to walk out and manually turn some switches or things, or they just go out in space to measure things, measure gravity, or to do some research, or just to take a spacewalk, just to go out and be in space. So that is why it is called a spacewalk. Hold on, my desk keeps falling. Okay, there we go, boys and girls. Okay, so Catherine got to go for a walk in space, which is pretty awesome. And Catherine and Sally were two women in space together. Okay, so that is Catherine right there. And there is Catherine and Sally. She was the first American woman to do this. There's Sally. A lot of girls and women want to be like her. Sally was more than an astronaut. She had a lot of other jobs. She wrote books about space for kids too. So maybe some of her books you guys can read on your own. She wanted kids to like science. She wanted them to learn about space. So if you really are interested in space and becoming an astronaut, you can totally read one of Sally's books. Okay, and this is an elementary school, maybe similar to one that you are in, that is named after Sally Ride. Sally died in 2012. There are 2 schools named after her. She was 61 years old. All right, so that is the end of the story. Now, it is a bit sad. She died quite young at 61 years old. However, the important thing here is her legacy. When we talk about someone's legacy, it's what they did and how they influenced the world, how they changed the world. And Sally really helped us find a lot of research. And also, she was the first American woman in space. And she opened the door for lots of other female astronauts to go into space too. Now, one other thing that we did not talk about in the book that Sally did was her work with a robotic arm. And we're going to talk about that later. We will be doing an activity. But first, I want to show you a short video of a woman that is in space. This was a few years ago. This was more recent. And hold on one moment. Let me open it up for you. And okay, so we're gonna watch this clip, and there is a woman in space having a video call or a video conference with this woman or with this team of women. And it's really fascinating. She talks about everything in space. I mean, we don't have time to watch all of it, but you can definitely find it on YouTube if you're interested. She talks about her daily life in space and sometimes how it does get a little bit lonely up there, but at the same time is so cool and fascinating. She talks about her drinking water, which we're going to see in this clip. And she talks about, you know, how she misses her family and what she does every day there. And this woman is in the International Space Station. So let's watch a short clip. It's called Waking Up, Working, and Going to Sleep in Zero G. So we're gonna start right here.
The day begins the night before because I look at the schedule, see what I'm gonna do, and I study
And
up.
as you can see, it's
and
gravity. Her hair is all the way up because she's floating, right?
One of them's coming right at me right now.
So she's gonna show something cool. She's pretty much floating.
Wow.
And you can hear the people on the other side of the video call.
So before I show you this, let me just show you something else. Oops. It's going to come back to me, okay? I want to show you why we do these experiments, and that is because this is a bag of water, okay? And I'm squeezing. Let's see.
Her microphone's floating away. Whoa, look at the water.
So it's a brand new bag of water, and so my straw was a little crimped there. And I'm gonna come a little closer, and you can see this giant blob of water. And we're getting to see in space, what do liquids really, really want to do?
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. So I'm curious, because I know you have kids at home. How do you stay close to your kids? Oh, wow. Amazing. Yeah. I'm just curious how you stay close to your kids while you're in space.
Well, one of the ways that we stay close is I try to keep him really interested in what I'm doing, and I'm shaking up our fluids experiment so you can kind of see, what a real experiment looks like, and not just playing with our water drops, but understanding how fluids behave in space. Well, it has to do with everything we do at home. And everything that we wear, everything that is in our house that is made with a process of something flowing through a pipe, we need to understand what liquids do. And this experiment actually shows us how to design fuel tanks for satellites. And you think, well, gee, why would I care? Everybody uses a cell phone, electronic devices, communication, military defense, you name it. And it all comes from things like this. When we talk about trying to keep my son interested, another way I do that is actually to bring one of his things with me up to space. He's a big fan, and so am I, of Calvin and Hobbes. And so I've brought a little Hobbes up in space with me, and I bring Hobbes to do experiments, and I take pictures and send them down to the ground so he understands what I'm doing every day. And I did that while I was training for this mission as well.
Yep. So that is what she does. She is an astronaut, and they are currently doing research. They're studying, they're working every single day. And she brought her son's toy with her so she can send her son pictures, who's back on Earth, or they say on the ground. And that's how she stays in touch with him. So after seeing this, do any of you still want to be an astronaut? Be honest. Yeah, it seems it might be a little bit lonely. I mean, she's there with her coworkers, the other astronauts, but she does miss her family. Of course, she misses her son. Anyway, that is just a sneak peek of what life is like in space. And I think the water trick was very cool. What did you guys think? Yeah, that was pretty awesome. All right, so let's go to our next activity. Hold on one moment. Let's see. So if you were to go to space, what kind of habits do you think you would need to change based on what you saw in that video? Okay, so there are a lot of things that come to my mind, right? How do I go to the bathroom, and how do I eat things? You probably need to eat a lot of things through a straw, drink everything through a straw. You can't just have your coffee like that. Washing your hair, your hair is always up in the air like this. And so you have to maybe tie it down, and it might be hard to wash, right? Because the water goes everywhere. And things like that. If you're sleeping, right? How do you think they sleep? They probably have to like strap themselves down so they can stay down for sleeping. So that is something very fascinating to me, and I hope you find fascinating too. Now, let's talk about the robotic arm. I'm going to show you a picture of what Sally Ride's robotic arm that she invented. Now, I don't want you to think that the robotic arm is like her arm, like a robot. No, it is something that is sticking out of the spaceship. So let me show you a decent picture here. Okay, so let me zoom in real quick on this and then I can show it to you. All right, so share my screen. Okay, so this is something like a robotic arm that they stick out of the spaceship, and it helps the astronauts do spacewalks or to grab things or to put the satellite, right? We talked about the satellite. So the satellite is something we spoke about that is measuring weather or doing, you know, finding out information for us or measuring earthquakes and wave frequencies, things like that. So they use this robotic arm thing outside of the space shuttle to place the satellite. That's how they do that. And Sally Ride changed the world by doing that. So let's talk about how we can make a robotic arm. And for this activity, you are going to need a piece of paper. Oops. You're going to need a piece of paper. You're going to need a straw like this. You are going to need scissors, a ruler, and some string, and of course, a pencil. So I'm going to give you a minute to get all of that together, and then we are going to regroup back here to finish this activity. Okay, I have everything now. I just need to grab my tape, and I hope you have everything too. So to begin this craft, what I would like you to do is take your piece of paper right here, and I want you to take your pencil. I'm using a marker so you guys can easily see it, and I want you to trace your hand on it, okay? So I want you to trace your hand. You might need some help, but we're just gonna trace it. Okay. And then once you're done tracing your hand, we are going to cut it out. We're going to cut it out. Here it is, my hand. And we're going to cut it out, and then we will do something else with that. So cut it.
And cut out.
Whoops. Cut it, and then let's all regroup back here after we're all done cutting it out. Okay. Okay, so now that this hand is cut out, and this is more like we're making a robotic hand rather than an arm, because we don't have enough paper for a whole arm. So we're gonna be doing that. Let me see this. Everyone hold these up. Great, these look awesome. And then what we're going to do next is we are going to put our hand, that same hand, this one, we're gonna put this one, hold on, let's see if you can see me. We're gonna put it like over top that paper. So here's my paper, and I'm gonna put my hand like over top of it, like this, okay? And what I want you to do, and I'm gonna show you how they do this in the video here, okay? I'm gonna share my screen so you can see what I want you to do. I want you to simply place dots on where your joints are. So our hands go like this when we're grabbing something, right? And that's all because of our joints. So I want you to make small dots where these joints are. So it's gonna look like this. So boop, 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 boop. Okay, can you see that? All right, so I want you to put those there, all right? Beep, beep, beep. Okay, so we have those joints, and while we do that, you will see what happens next. Okay, so let me give you a chance to do that. And when you have them on your hand, Now I want you to, after you draw them on your hand, I want you to draw them on here. So I want you to copy it and I want you to draw what it looks like. All right, so this is what helps us bend our hands like this. All right, now I hope you're there because we're moving on. So next comes after we draw these on our hands and you copy that same thing and put them on the paper, I would like you to take a straw or multiple straws and do like the video is doing. You'll see. Oh, we'll do that in a second. Okay, so we're gonna take the straws and we are going to cut them. Now, this is where your ruler comes in handy. You can use the 1 inch on your ruler and you can put the straw there and simply cut it in snips of 1.5 inches, okay? So you wanna make it exact. So that's why we're bringing the ruler. If you are just eyeballing it, that's okay too. But we are going to cut those pieces and you'll see what we do next. All right, so I'm cutting the straw. All right, so the straw is all cut up. I have like all these pieces here of the straw. And next, after those are cut up, we take our paper and we bend at the joints, okay? So I want you to bend at the joints, kind of like how your hand bends like this. I want you to do the same thing here. Good. All right, you can't really see, but now it's starting to look more like my hand, right? Our hand naturally bends. So we're gonna do this. And now what I would like you to do, as you can see in the video, after you're done cutting the straw, after they did that, we are going to line them up like they do in the video, all right? So this is where your tape comes in. You're gonna line them up and tape them there. So I'm gonna tape all mine on just like this, see? Now, in the video, they do have some long straws and some short straws. You can totally do that. I believe the measurements are 1.5 inches and about, I think, 2.5. So you can do that. But I've already done this before and it seems it's not necessary to have every exact measurement. So let's line them up. This will take a few minutes to get every single joint there. All right, so I'm gonna tape each one and keep doing that just like they do in the picture, or sorry, in the video. Okay. And then make sure you put one down there. Okay, so this is probably the part of the craft or the activity that takes the most time. So just take your time. Don't worry, and you can always pause this video. Okay. Almost done. We have all of our joints. All right, so next, once we're finished that, which we're all almost done at this point, oops, make sure these are on tightly. Okay, so after we did that, let's get out your string, okay, boys and girls? So get out your string. I'm using some thread here, and you can get yarn or string, anything like that works. And you want to connect it to each part, okay? So connect each piece of string to each part. All right, so, whoops, mine is not working out here. Let me get my string. And just do like she does in the video. We are going to tape every single part. Get the string out. All right, so if you have different colors of string, that's great because then you can see what you're working with. I'm gonna work with a few different colors. So I have this one, this purple I'm using for thumb. All right. And just reach it through and it should go all the way. And each finger should have the piece of string that goes through. All right, so you can pause this and when you, hold on. You can pause this when you're all finished because this is going to take a few minutes of your time. So you are more than welcome to pause. Okay, boys and girls. Now at this point, you should have all of the string attached. You can see I have the string there. And now you want to tape each finger. So basically at the top, you want to have it all taped down, all the string, so that the string can stay there. And yes, if you guessed correctly, we are going to be moving the hand back and forth, just like a robot. So let's see. So gather all the string at the bottom, like here, and you want to just pull it. Whoa, cool. Oh, hold on. I need to grab this one. And this one, my thumb isn't working. What's going on? Oh, there we go. There we go. So this is how you can do a robotic hand, and you can make it beep, beep. You can make it move, and that's a thumbs up right there. Okay, so you can use them, maybe they'll move like all simultaneously. This one seems to be moving together, but that's how you can move the fingers, by pulling the string. So that is our robotic hand activity. I hope you had some fun with that. All right, thank you so much for joining our class today here at APC Club, all about Sally Ride, astronauts, and the robotic arm. We learned a lot of good vocab words today. We learned astronaut, childhood, astrophysics, orbit, one orbit around the Earth, satellites, and spacewalk. We also learned about a PhD and how math and science and physics all come hand in hand when it comes to training to be an astronaut. So if you are really brave and you want to go to space someday, we know here at ABC Club that you are capable of doing that, just like Sally Ride was. Thank you so much for joining our class today here at ABC Club, and we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.